Hello there, it's Mike with the Fish Tank Barn, and I'd like to welcome you back to another video. I'm out of work now, so that means one thing. Time to get some work done in the fish barn. If you caught my fish room update video from a couple weeks ago, you would have noticed that I have quite a few plants sitting in this tank that need to be planted. I have 4 tanks that I need to do some aquascaping work on, so let's go ahead and get started. The first order of business is to work on completely rescaping this 29-gallon tank. So the first thing I did is I went ahead and emptied the 29-gallon tank of all the crypts that were in there. And then I went ahead and split everything into individual plants. And as you can see, there's really quite a bit of the Crypt Tropica, which I got from the aquarium co-op. I only bought 6 pots, but as you can see here, I was able to break that up into about 20 plants or so. So definitely really happy with my purchase. And also for the 29-gallon tank, I'm going to choose one of these pieces of reef rock to go ahead and put in that tank as well. So let's go ahead and head back to the 29-gallon tank, get that planted, and I'll go ahead and show you which piece of rock I chose. I may even choose 2, but we'll see. So now that we're back at the 29-gallon tank, let's go ahead and get the plants put back here. And I'm going to go try something here with the rocks. So I think what I'm going to try is I'm going to stand this rock straight up and go ahead and put it in the back. So I'm going to stand it up, and then what I'm going to do is there's a little heater back here, and there's a sponge. I'm going to try to hide those behind the rock as much as I possibly can. While it's not perfect, it definitely does do a pretty decent job of hiding the filter and the heater. This rock is also really porous, so there's definitely a lot of places for the fry to hide as well. I'm going to go ahead and add another piece at the other end, just to kind of balance it out a little bit. And then maybe a couple of other small pieces in between. So I did grab a handful of the crypts here. There's probably about 6 or 7 in my hand here. So we're going to go ahead and plant that into the sand, and we'll kind of play around with it, see what it looks like. So these tanks aren't designed to be like fantastic aquascapes. These tanks are all really designed for breeding. My goal here is to really get a lot of swordtail fry. What I really want to do is have these crypts kind of carpet out along the bottom and really provide a lot of fry cover. I'll go ahead here and I'll flip you to an example of kind of what I'm looking for. This is another tank in the fish barn that has my Xenotoka lion's eye. And you can see here that the crypt Wendii green, I believe it is, on this tank is really carpeted out along the bottom and really provides a nice place for fry to hide. Obviously, that's not going to happen overnight. Hopefully, over time, this will fan out, and we can really get a ton of swordtail fry. Obviously, we've got a ton of crypts left, so let's go ahead and keep working on some more tanks. So this is another tank that we've talked about quite a bit recently in the fish room. And this is my 20-gallon tank with my Xiphophorus andersii and my red Moscow guppies that were used as dither fish to get my shy andersii out a little bit more. And as you can see here, there's really a large amount of algae in this tank. So I really want to clean this up and make it look a little bit nicer. You know, kind of like the Gudea tank that we talked about a little bit earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and manually pull out all of this algae because it's just disgusting, honestly. I'm just going to, you can literally just grab a handfuls of it. See here that, you know, you just pulled out literally like 3/4 of it. So now that I've got the majority of the algae out, I'm going to take a net here to see if I can get some of the loose ends picked up as well. I'm going to go ahead and replace the rocks. The algae's probably embedded itself into the crevices. I think it's just time to pull these rocks out and replace it with some new ones. Now that we've replaced the rocks, it's time to start planting the crypts into this tank as well. This is one of the few tanks in the fish room that actually has a planted tank substrate, which I believe is Fluval stratum. I got this substrate when I was gifted some tanks from a friend. Honestly, I really don't like the planted substrates that much. I really prefer the plain old gravel, since it's easy to plant the rhizome plants into, and generally it's a lot easier to work with. So now that we've got the 20-gallon done, the next task here is we're going to play musical fish. It's time now to combine these Chapeleuctes and Causis that I've had in here for quite a while with the Chapeleuctes and Causis that I had downstairs. So about 4 or 5 months ago, these guys did have some disease issues, but they've been looking fine now for at least 2 or 3 months. So I think they're kind of through that section now. And there's actually even some fry in here as well. I don't know if they'll show up on camera, but I did see a couple of small fry in here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take these and combine them with the fish that I got at the Southwest Michigan Aquarium Society back in October, and really combine this into one colony and open up this 29-gallon tank to some new fish at some point that I may want to put in here. You know, the first order of business, though, is I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this stem plant. I think this is like a Pogostemon species. I've had it for quite a while in the fish room, and I really just don't like it. It gets really stringy, and it just really kind of creates a mess. So as you can see here on the top of the tank, you know, there's a ton of duckweed and also a ton of stringy stem plant on here. So let's just go ahead and remove all this plant. It'll make it a lot easier to catch the fish. Now that we've removed the majority of the plants, let's go ahead and remove the rocks so it's easier to catch the fish. With the rocks and plants removed, it's time to capture the fish. I always try to keep a count of how many fish I need to catch so I can do it all at one time. Thankfully, there's only 3 adults and 2 juveniles, so it shouldn't really take me too long to catch them. So we now have our 5 fish caught, so it's time for me to take them down to the 40 breeder and add them to the existing colony downstairs. With the fish successfully introduced downstairs, I went ahead and planted this tank, similar to the other tanks we've been working on. I'll keep an eye out to make sure I haven't missed any additional fish. While I don't have an exact plan for what fish I want to put in here next, I'm sure I'll come up with something here in the near future. So now moving on to the next tank I want to work on here. This is the tank with my Scyphia multipunctata from Tank Aquarel. I have a bunch of tanks in the fish room that are kind of overrun with Vallisneria, and this is one of them. And actually, this one's probably the least overrun out of all of them. But what I want to do here is I'm going to pull out all the Vallisneria, and again, we'll go ahead and plant some crypts. So I just took the val downstairs and put it in another tank. So as you can see here, there are some crypts in here. They mostly got out-competed by the val, but I'm going to go ahead and leave them here and see if they kind of bounce back a little bit. And then also we will go ahead and put some more crypts in here as well. So this is the finished product with all the crypts planted. Obviously the tank's pretty murky since we just removed all of the val. I'm going to go ahead and let things settle down, and we'll come back in the morning and take a look at all the tanks and see how they turned out. It's the next day now, so let's go ahead and check out and see how these tanks are doing. Since we're already looking at the swordtail tank, you can definitely see it's cleaning up nicely and looks really good. Hopefully the plants will carpet out here in the next few months, and we can start seeing some swordtail fry. So now let's talk about the tank that had the Chapelixes and Caustis. This tank cleaned up pretty nicely as well, and it looks like I haven't missed any fry. So definitely looking pretty good in this tank as well. The fish that I moved downstairs seem to be acclimating nicely. Everything seems to be going well in the tank downstairs. I'm really enjoying how the Scyphia multipunctata tank turned out as well. Getting rid of all the Vallisneria was really a plus, because now I can really see all the fish and all their beautiful colors. We'll see if the crypts that were already in there can fully recover, and hopefully the new crypts will carpet out as well. Really looking forward to hopefully getting some multipunctata fry here in the very near future. The red Moscow guppy and Xiphophorus andersii tank also cleaned up pretty nicely. While I got most of the hair algae, there's definitely some more there, so I'll probably have to come back through in a couple weeks and clean up the hair algae again. But hopefully at some point the crypts will take over, and we won't see very much of the hair algae anymore. I'm really happy with how the tanks turned out. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me as I got all these tanks reset. Hopefully we'll see the crypts garden out here in the near future, and we'll have some pretty nice crypt gardens going here in the fish barn. If you're interested in seeing all the fish here at the fish barn, I'll go ahead and put a video at the end that documents all the fish that I have here in the barn. So with that, stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll catch you on the next video.